Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. The ongoing sessions are on Bhagavad Gita. We are on chapter 4, and the replays of the rooms are available in Clubhouse, or you can go to the links shared in the chat. One is a YouTube channel called Advaita Retold, where all Bindoji's earlier talks are archived, including Bhagavad Gita. There's also a link to Apple Podcast, another one to Spotify. The fourth link shared is a book titled The Imaginary Door by Artemisia, based on Bindoji's insights into Advaita. As always, heartfelt thanks to Bindoji. When he's conducting the class, we will shut down the chat and hand raising, after which we'll open the channels for Q&A. Over to you, Bindoji.
Thank you, Prakash. Namaste and Hari Om to all of you. Do my invocation. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsharishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loga Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashi Gridau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishwaro Guru Ratmiti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavat Pyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. The Gita Dhyana Slokam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvandi Divyaistavai Vedai Sangapadakramau Panishadai Gayanti Yam Thamaga Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyandam na vidussura suraganaha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Oh. We have completed the 23rd verse, which ended with the supreme promise by Krishna. Karma samagram praviliyate. All karma completely gets dissolved. For whom? For the Gatasanka Muktaha Jnana Avastita Chetasa. One who has become a Mukta, a liberated one, or a Jivan Mukta. His Sangha attachment has departed from him, means he doesn't have any more attachment. Jnana Avastita Chetasa, whose consciousness is abiding in the knowledge of who he is. And who acts Yajnaya Acharata. He is acting for Yajna. Now the 24th verse, which is a very important verse in the entire Bhagavad Gita. It names the ground into which that dissolution occurs as Brahman, and does so with the fivefold repetition of Brahma in that verse, which constitutes the most concentrated, non-dual declaration in the entire Gita. The verse is so structured as a complete Yajna analysis, in which every structural element of the Vedic Yajna framework, like the instrument of offering, Arpana, oblation, Havis, the fire, which is the Agni, the offerer, the Brahmana, the act of offering, Hudam, all of them as identified as Brahman itself. Not only that, then the fruit as Gantavyam, or attainable or reachable. And the means of approach, Brahma Karma Samadhi, both are declared as Brahman. Literally speaking, there is nothing outside Brahman. For Shankaracharya, this verse is the philosophical crown of the entire Yajna Prakarana and indeed the entire fourth chapter in Bhagavad Gita. It is Gita's most direct application of the Advaita Mahavakya, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. Verily, all this is Brahman. To the specific domain of karma and yajna. When the jnani performs any action, from the cosmic yajna to the dharma rakshana, or the protection of dharma, to the most ordinary act of eating, breathing, every element of the action is recognized as nothing but Brahman. In this recognition, the action dissolves previliyate into Brahman. It always already was. The action always already was Brahman only. Yet, the word was used as previliyate. The karma samagra pravilana, achieved through the most radical non-dual vision possible. This particular verse, it may take 2 or 3 days for completing the explanation. It is not possible for one day to explain it. Is the only verse, in my opinion, which, if understood properly, can replace the Brahma Sutra, all the Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, or hundreds and millions of books in the name of Advaita. This one verse, if it becomes a reality to the listener, nothing more is required. Because interwoven through the words of this verse, Bhagavan Krishna is conveying a message of all the Upanishads, all the logic of Brahma Sutra, and all the Smriti books of Puranas and Mahabharata, Ramayana, whatever it is. An apt attention to every aspect of this word in each of those description which is being mentioned here should be imbibed by us as listeners, whereby the otherness or the separation which we have the feeling in our empirical transactional world can be shifted and made into a realization of aparokshanubhuti, the immediate and direct recognition of that one truth which we all are. So please pay attention, and with rapt attention, each sentence or explanation being given is not talking about something outside you or external to you. It is being addressed to you who can instantly identify with that statement if the attention is 100%. Therefore, Shankaracharya starts this verse with a question. Kasmat punak karanat kriyamanam karma swakharyarambam akurvan samagram privilyate ityuchyate. What is that reason? Kriyamanam karma. The actions what are being done by us. Swakharyarambam. For our own purpose. We initiate our actions. When it is being done, samagram privilyate, without leaving a residue, it vanishes or it dissolves. If that question is being asked, the answer is Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagnau, Brahmanahutam, Brahma eva tena gandavyam, Brahma karma samadhinah. Brahmarpanam. Arpanam means offering. What is being offered. Brahman is the instrument of offering. Brahmana Arpanam is a compound word. So when the compound word is broken up, you get Brahman is the instrument of offering. Brahma Havihi. Brahman is the oblation, the offering material, what is being offered. Not only it is the instrument of offering, the instrument and what is being offered is also Brahman. Brahmagno, into the fire which is also Brahman. Brahmana Hutam, offered or poured as oblation by the agent which is also Brahman. Brahmana means by the Brahman. Brahma eva tena gandavyam. Eva means indeed or precisely or certainly. Tena means by that one or by him, the agent who is doing the offering. Gandavyam is to be gone to or must be attained or must be reached, or the destination or the result or the phala or the offering or what is the outcome of the offering. Brahma eva. That is also Brahman. And how does he do this? Brahma karma samadhina. There is no English translation for this. It's a compound word. Brahman, then karma is there, and samadhina. It's the means as a compound word of Brahma karma samadhi. But I'll explain it as Shankaracharya has explained it when we take up each of the words. So, Brahmarpanam, offering instrument is Brahman. The oblation is Brahman. Brahmanagno, Brahmana Hutam, offered into the fire of Brahman, Brahmagno. Brahma eva tena gandavyam. Brahman alone is there to be reached by that one who is offering by the means of Brahma karma samadhi. There are 6 Brahma word used here. As an offering, as the oblation, as the fire, as the offerer, as the destination, and as the means. 6 occurrences of Brahman, each identifying a different structural element as Brahman. The instrument, the oblation, the fire, the offerer, the destination, the means. The totality is Brahman. Nothing in the entire yajna structure is other than Brahman. It gives a visualization if somebody can visualize it. Replace the word with Brahman with space. Then you can visualize it. What is being offered? Let us take instrument. Whatever may be the instrument of our action. Our actions, we need offering to be done through an instrument. Nothing can exist outside space. Therefore, the instrument is also space. The oblation, what is being offered, obviously that is also within the space. So we are offering it is in the space. And where are we offering it? We are moving from one spot to another spot. We cannot offer it to anywhere outside the space. Therefore, the fire where a typical yajna is being offered, here the yajna is into the fire of which is also space. Now the offerer, you and me, we assume we are the offerers. Can we exist outside our space? No. So the offerer is also space. Where is the destination? After offering, where do we go? There is nowhere we can go other than within the space only. And how are we doing it? The means of action, activity of offering, that is also within the space only. Now replace the space with Brahman, which is consciousness, awareness, Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma or Satchidanandam Brahma. That is why it is said it is Sarvam Khaluidam Brahma. Now let us take each one of the words 6 times it is coming. Brahmarpana. The arpana or the offering instrument or offering act of offering is Brahman. The instrument by which the offering is made is not a material ladle in the Brahma arpana, but Brahman itself. More precisely, the arpana is recognized as Brahman, the non-dual ground within which the apparent act of offering appears to be happening. If we can relate the Chandogya Upanishad 7th chapter, where Sanaka tells Narada, Yatrana Anya Pasyadi Anya Shrunodi Anyat Vijanati, the Anyat, the otherness, when that is not there, Sabhuma, that is Brahman. Same is conveyed this in the Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi verse also. So what is the Havis here? Havis is the typical material of offering, the oblation or the offering material. In the Vedic Yajna, the Mimamsa, they offer different things into the fire, like the clarified butter, Grita, grain, soma, wood, and many material, depending upon what is the desire. Here the desire is for Brahman itself. Brahmaiva tena gandavyam. Therefore, the material offered into the fire here is, the oblation is Brahman. The material being offered is not a finite object, but Brahman, for all material existence, is included in Brahman. Sarvam khalu idam Brahma. So the first two identifications, Brahmarpanam and Brahmahavi, the instrument of offering, the ladle, instead of that, it is also Brahman. What is being offered as oblation, that is also Brahman. So the two Brahma identifications establish the fundamental Advaitic framework for the entire verse. Shankaracharya notes that the verse is structured as a complete yajna phenomenology in which every structural element is identified with Brahman. The terms used are the terms which are familiar to the Brahmanas or those who are in the Vedic period. The Arpana, Havi, Agni, Hota, Uta, all these terms are their day-to-day words which they are familiar with. In the Vedic Yajna, there are these 5 structural elements are being used. Arpana is the offering instrument or the act. Havis is the oblation, which is, I said, the clarified butter, grain, etc. Agni is the fire into which oblation is being done. The Hota or Yajamana or the offerer, he is the one who is doing the Yajna. And the act of offering is called the Huta or the Kriya, the act of oblation. So in the typical Mimamsaka Yajna, all 5 are here used the same terminology by Krishna. But only one difference is there. He has added the word Brahman to every word. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavi, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva tena gandavyam, Brahma karma samadhina. All those things. The implication, there is no non-Brahman element in the entire Yajna. Therefore, this is a Brahma Yajna. The ordinary duality of Yajna, the offerer versus offered, fire versus oblation, instrument versus material, etc., they all collapse into the non-dual Brahman when seen through the eyes of the Tattvajna or the knowledge of the Tattvajnana. Tattvajna. Shankaracharya raises a Purva Paksha here in the commentary, which we will read later. He is asking, does this mean we should literally call the ladle Brahman, the butter also Brahman, and during Yajna? Our Yajna, which is they are familiar with, they are all using different names for. Ch04, is the used for the ladle. Grita is used for the butter. Like that. Should we change the name to Brahman? The answer is no. This is not a ritual prescription, but a vision statement. Brahma karma samadhi. the compound word in this verse where English is not possible. It's a vision statement. It specifies that this identification occurs in the cognitive state of samadhi, not as a ritual formula. It's a non-dual recognition, absorption into non-dual recognition that there is nothing outside Brahman. The verse describes the jnani's recognition during his action, not when he is in meditative action, but his breathing, eating, sleeping, walking, teaching, dharma rakshartham, fighting, whatever it is. There is no action for the jnani outside Brahman. He sees himself as Brahman because he is the one who is offering it. His actions are into Brahman. What he is using, the instrument is Brahman. So, from the point of view of that recognition with the jnani has got, it is the cognitive state of jnanavastita chetasa, which was told in the last verse. The established consciousness of Brahman, which is nothing but consciousness. In the knowledge of that knowledge of consciousness, that is knowledge of knowledge or consciousness of consciousness. That is why the chetas word is used here. In which every element of action is spontaneously and naturally recognized as this consciousness or Brahman. Jnanavastita chetasa. Therefore, he is able to establish himself in that jnanavastita chetasa or establish himself as Brahman. He doesn't see anything outside Brahman. He is not anything other than Brahman. That is why he has the statement Aham Brahmasmi also. Think carefully. Transport yourself into the consciousness or into the awareness or that Brahman, Jnana. The terms have no rigidity. Whatever transports you from the identification of the limited human being individuality to the Sarvatma Bhava or that which identifies yourself with everything. Where there is no otherness, ananyatvam. And where are we offering this? The sacred fire into which oblations are poured, the central element of a typical Vedic yajna, where they are assuming that the transforming, receiving, transmitting medium which the devas take from the earth to the heavens, that is called the Agni. That is also Brahman. Brahmagno. Into that Agni of Brahman. The Agni, that is Brahman. The fire in which all is being received. That's what I said. You cannot move anything outside the space. Same way, nothing is outside consciousness or awareness. The fire is not a material fire like the empirical fire which is being taught. But it is the fire of Brahman. The Brahman itself has the receiving, consuming, transforming presence in which all karma and all yajna ultimately dissolves. So when the locative Brahmagno into the fire of Brahman is mentioned, the offering is poured into the fire. This fire is not what is to be taught. It specifies as the location of dissolution. The otherness gets dissolved. The duality gets dissolved. All actions poured into that Brahman, which receives it, and in receiving, it transforms into itself. This is the ultimate surrender we can think about. Surrender our ego into the offering of Brahman. So all karma is based on the ego which we were having till now. That aspect of otherness which we are holding on to it can only dissolve when we abide in that knowledge that everything is Brahman. Brahmana hutam. Brahmana means the offerer, the hota or yajamana. My ego, I am surrendering to the Brahman. So who am I when I surrender my ego? The person performing the yajna is recognized as Brahman. That is the time when the individual's apparent agency gets dissolved into Brahman's sovereign self-action. The self, the Atma, which is nothing other than Brahman itself. The self is now offering the ego into the fire of Brahman. Brahmana hutam. What is being poured or offered is what? The act of offering is itself complete and perfect because it is performed by Brahman. The ego is not separate from Brahman. How can the ego be separate from Brahman? But when the ignorance holds or the adhyasa holds that there is a separatedness, anyatvam, separatedness, that is a non-apprehension of that even the I that Jnani speaks of is not talking from his egoistic I point of view. That I also becomes Brahman. There is no space for ego. In knowledge, where can there be a space for ego? Therefore, what is being offered or poured into the fire of Brahman is also Brahman only, but assumed to be separate from Brahman. So Brahmagni, Brahmana, Utam, all the three, the fire, the offerer, and what is being offered, everything is Brahman. As per Shankaracharya, the most radical element of this verse where the non-dual analysis is happening is in this verse. When the offerer himself is recognized as Brahman, it is the last vestige of duality in a yajna disappearance, where the yajna itself disappears. There is no yajna taking place. In the ordinary yajna, even if the oblation and the fire are understood as Brahman, the offerer remains separate, the anyatvam, the the offerer becomes separate from the offering. Because the Yajamana retains the identity as the agent of offering. Because he has a attachment to the fruit of action. He expects an outcome of the yajna. But when that Yajamana or the one who is offering, when it is getting replaced by the Brahma, when the Brahmana replaces the Brahma or the yajna, the offerer offered fire trinity is completely dissolved into the non-dual Brahman. There is no offerer, there is no offered, there is no fire. All the three, the separatedness which we call it by different name. That is why when all the names and forms are disappeared, which makes us think that there is separatedness. When that is completely dissolved, what is reality is Brahman. The understanding of Brahma Karma Samadhi, the last word in this verse. When the offerer recognizes themselves as Brahman, they are in a Brahma Karma Samadhi. The absorption of all karma into the recognition of Brahman's non-dual status. This is the aparoksha anubhava. When jnana-avastita chetas of the previous verse established in the knowledge, the consciousness, in that the offerer abides in the recognition that they are Brahman. And therefore, all their action is Brahman offering into Brahman. There is no separate from that. Brahma eva tena gandavyam. Brahma eva. Brahman alone. Gandavyam, the breed is from that which is to be gone to, or that much which must be reached as a destination, etc. So Brahman alone is the destination. It is to be reached. It is inevitable destination. Why it is inevitable? Because Krishna has used the word eva. Brahma eva gandavya. Brahman alone, nothing else is the destination. Asserting the exclusive non-dual character of the fruit of a yajna. It is not Swarga, heaven or a finite destination. Not a Brahmaloka, not the abode of Brahman or anything which all part of the Vedic rituals. Not even Videha Mukti. The liberation at the death of an event in time. What can death give me? Separate from what is there. What is death? There is no birth. There is no death. In Brahman there is. That is why na jayate mriyate va kadachit. This Atman or Brahman has neither no birth, no death, because everything is in Brahman. So the non-dual ground of all existence, he becomes the destination. So even the death is not a disappearance of the physical body. The physical body, which is an instrument which was being used, is also Brahman. So the offerer became the Brahman, means the physical body also has become the Brahman. And it is offered into the fire of Brahman. So even if the body is getting cremated, that is also into Brahman. So there is this word Tena, the instrumental word, refers to the Brahmana Hutam, offerer as Brahman. That is what is being indicated by the word Tena Gandhavya. It means the Brahma Karma Samadhi is done by the offerer, by that one who performs the yajna in Brahman alone, is where he is reaching. The identity of means is Brahma Karma Samadhi. And the destination is Brahman. Therefore, this Advaitic non-dual structure, the means is Brahman, recognition, destination is Brahman, and the means and destination are identical. The Shankaracharya comments that Brahmaiva Tena Gandhavyam, the fruit or the phala of the entire Brahma Yajna. Shankaracharya reads it through the Advaitic principle of a fruit of sadhananusari phalam. Means the fruit corresponding to the sadhana. The sadhana, the sadhyam, and everything is Brahman. Therefore, the fruit of the action is also Brahman. When every element of the yajna is Brahman, the arpana, havis, agni, yajamana, huta, etc. When the entire field of action is recognized as Brahman, what is the fruit? Brahman itself. There is not a new acquisition of Brahman, which would imply a prior separation, but the confirmation of Brahman's identity as a self-identity. Therefore, Brahman recognizing itself as Brahman through the medium of Brahma Karma Samadhi. Therefore, Shankaracharya unpacks the deep Advaitic logic of the word Gandhavyam, to be reached. Because on the surface there is a paradox. If the offerer is already Brahman, and the fire is Brahman, and the oblation is Brahman, what is there to reach? Is it not one offering already in Brahman? So why should the word Gandhavyam should be there? The word has no meaning at all. Gandhavyam means to be reached. So Shankaracharya is unpacking it, saying that here it does not mean a spatial travel towards an absent destination, but it is an avirbhava. Avirbhava means a revelation or a disclosure of what is already present. Praptasya prapti. The jnani does not travel in time or space to Brahman. He recognizes Brahman as his own swarupa. Already, always present, even before he was Brahman. Even when doing the yajna also he was Brahman. What is being offered is also Brahman. The instruments are Brahman. The oblation is Brahman. The offering is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Therefore, Brahma eva gantavyam. Brahman alone is what is recognized or arrived at. The self-recognition of the non-separatedness from Brahman as the true reality or the ultimate reality. That is the fruit of Brahma Karma Samadhi. Krishna had used this earlier also, this type of a paradox. Mameti, in the 9th verse he had said that Brahma evasan Brahma apyeti is there in the Chandogya and the Brihadaranya Upanishad also. All these places, it indicates a recognition, an avirbhava, a disclosure, not something separate being achieved or reached or gained. It is knowing your own true nature. Shankaracharya is taking extreme care in making the compound word Brahma Karma Samadhina as a three-membered compound. The most philosophically rich in this verse. Brahma is the non-dual Brahman, which was been explained already using 5 different verse terminologies, but all indicating to the same thing. Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva tena gandavyam, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavi, Brahmagno, all of them. Here as the first qualifier for Karma Samadhi. It is a qualifier, Brahma Karma Samadhi. So, qualifier is Brahma. What is the karma? Karma we know as action. The domain within which Samadhi is achieved. So, each one is connected to the other one. It is an action, whereas Brahman is Nirguna. There is no action possible. Nothing is possible when it is, everything is Brahman. But there is an action because it is a domain within which Samadhi is achieved. Not Samadhi instead of Karma, which would be the Nivritti reading in Shankaracharya rejects in the explanation. But he says that Samadhi within and through Karma absorbed as a recognition of Brahman, maintained while acting. Careful. So the Karma is not a Samadhi in the normal sense where there is a meditator achieving a state of nivritti and then waking up from the Samadhi. But here the Samadhi is within and through Brahman as an absorbed recognition of Brahman, and that is the karma itself. Why? Because it has to be performed and remembered and maintained. The recognition is in action. While acting. In action while acting. The realization comes. It is not sitting quietly in one place and realization takes place. This indicates to that pratibodha viditam matam. Every experience is showing us what is our bodham, our experience of awareness. That is the chetas, which is jnanavastita chetas, which is being referred to. So is the samadhi separate? Absorption, complete concentration, or the state of total cognition? No. Samadhi is the state in which the distinction between the knower, known, and the knowing collapses into the recognition of non-dual Brahman. The classical Samadhi is a state of deep meditative absorption in which the Vyavaharika activity is suspended. But in this compound, Brahma Karma Samadhi, is a radically active form of Samadhi. because you are not going to withdraw from any activity, because yajna is a karma, action. In action, through action, through the objects of action, the medium of action, and the destination of action, everywhere we are seeing the Brahman. Therefore, Brahma Karma Samadhi is the absorption in Brahman through karma. The Samadhi that is maintained not by suspending action, but by recognizing all karma as activities in Brahman. This is the Sahaja Samadhi, or the effortless continuous absorption in the Brahman recognition, that the Jivan Mukta maintains even in the midst of full Vyavaharika engagement, empirical engagement in the world of multiplicity. Shankaracharya is using the Sanskrit language by three different means of breaking the compound word. The three-lettered word compound, he is breaking up into three different readings. One is as one whose karma is samadhi in Brahman. Then the second one is the karma which is Brahman and samadhi in that. The third one is one who has samadhi in all actions as Brahman. So he has, in all the three methods, even if you want to describe the compound word, all the three possibilities also, the meaning comes to the same. Whereas Shankaracharya favors the synthesis of Brahma Karma Samadhi, the absorbed, continuous, unbroken recognition that all action is Brahman. This is the Jnana Avastita Chetas of the 23rd verse, which was described from the perspective of its relation to the karma. The Jivan Mukta maintains the Brahma Karma Samadhi every moment of his action, not as a special occasional meditative state, but as a natural, continuous cognitive ground of living, from which all Vyavaharika actions arises and into which all action dissolves back. He doesn't see the actions as separate movement in Brahman. Therefore, Brahma Karma Samadhi for Shankaracharya is the most important compound in this verse. He specifies the cognitive means by which Brahma eva gantavyam, the destination as Brahman, is reached. The instrumental Brahma Karma Samadhina means by means of Brahma Karma Samadhi. This Samadhi is both the means and the descriptive state of that state, liberated state of the individual of the Jivan Mukta. He says that it's different from the ordinary Nirvikalpa Samadhi, in which all karmas are suspended volitionally. In the ordinary Nirvikalpa Samadhi, all cognitive activity is suspended. Vyavaharika distinction is dissolved. This is a temporary state that ends when this one who is doing the Samadhi returns back to Vyavahara cognition. Even in this state, the identity of Atman and Brahman is fully recognized, but the recognition cannot be maintained once he gets out of the Samadhi and engages himself in action. But the Brahma Karma Samadhi is the recognition of Brahman's non-dual maintained through and within karma. Action does not interrupt the Samadhi. Instead, all action is recognized as a Samadhi. This is the highest state of Sahaja Samadhi, the unbroken Brahma Jnana of the Jivan Mukta, which he maintains perpetually even in full Vyavaharika engagement. The reason for this superiority of the Brahma Karma Samadhi, even the return from the Samadhi to Karma, which in the ordinary Samadhi, there is a limitation, and he cannot remain in the state of Samadhi, because the moment he enters the Karma, he is into Vyavahara. Whereas in the Brahma Karma Samadhi, the Karma itself is getting transformed into field of Samadhi. The Jivan Mukta does not alternate between the Samadhi and Karma. They live in Samadhi while acting. The Karma is simultaneously in the Samadhi and in the recognition of Brahman also. We will continue the discussion tomorrow, because there is a lot more to be discussed. The relationship with the Sarvam Khalidam Brahma, etc. We will see that tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Thank you very much, Bindoji. The chat and hand raising are open. If there are any questions.
Namaste, Rajesh.
Namaste. I had one question. This word you used, right? Brahma Karma Samadhi.
Yes.
But it's a paradox because Brahman is a Karni. Again, Karma word is that. So this has been observed in many scriptures. Like they said, ek anek, like one as well as many, and smallest of the smallest and biggest of the biggest, as well as like oldest of the oldest and newest of the newest. When they talk about Brahman, right?
Right.
So how this paradox? Why they are using paradox always, and how it is mentioned in Gita, or what is the point of Adi Shankara's view?
See, the paradox is used because our ordinary mind has fixations. What is something small cannot be big, or what is something big cannot be small, or what is here cannot be there, or what is there cannot be here simultaneously. Like we have this limitation from our understanding that space and time differentiates the reality of objects. But when you don't have space or time, before the creation of space and time, what created from which the space and time itself has arrived, can it be conditioned by the space and time? Now or later, here or there, big or small, that way? Because all these terms have generated out of that. But before these terms became applicable itself, the existence of the substratum from where it has come, how will you explain it using what is limitation of the explanation which we are available in within the space and time. That is why the reason why all these apparent paradox, but they are apparent only when you look it through the glasses of time and space. But that which is before the time and space, there is no paradox there.
So in a sense, it can never be articulated, right?
Pardon? It can?
Brahman cannot be articulated or limited to articulation.
No.
Right.
It is exactly what the Taittiriya also says. Yato vacho nivartande aprapya manasa saha. That means our mind can only function with words. But when the words are not to be used and the mind is still active, the mind becomes no mind. Because it cannot function without words. The Taittiriya Upanishad says that where the words cannot reach, words return. And the mind is unable to describe it. Words are nivartande, means where the words have stopped being operational there. And the mind cannot describe it. That is what is Brahman. Yato vacho nivartande aprapya manasasa. Because Brahman or Atman is not an object within the terminologies of Vyavahara or empirical thing. Whereas the Vyavahara is embedded inside Brahman. Like nothing is outside space. Everything is in space. So from the point of view of how will you describe space using things which are seen inside the space? That is not possible, no?
Correct. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Namaste, Spice. After a long time.
How are you after a long time? Yes. Prakash ji,
Yes.
how are you? Yeah, the question is that in the morning I was in discussion as well, and Rajesh was there. Question is that when people speak of recognizing Brahman or understanding what Brahman is, Shastras give just the pointers. All the Upanishads just give the pointers. The actual happening is through the diving in self. Because if we don't recognize, if we don't dive deeper within ourselves and don't find Brahman, so my point was that is it possible to even touch the essence of Brahman if we dive within ourselves? With the Atma Vidya, with diving deep inside ourselves, understanding and recognizing ourselves, and that is the only way to recognize Brahman. Because as you said,
Yes.
that no words, nothing can describe it.
No. The words cannot describe it. But it is not a non-existent thing. So, existence as existence or awareness as awareness, can that be brought in within the purview of description?
No.
That is exactly what is it. It can be only indicated. And it is not the awareness or the existence which we are talking about, what we are familiar with, because there we use the word or the form or the description of that of an object independent existence and which is we are aware of. But we are not able to express an object which doesn't have an existence or is not aware to us. Can you describe one object which can have an existence and not aware to us?
No.
That exactly shows that everything is within that consciousness, or what called Sat and Chit. So for the time being, let us not discuss Ananda. Ananda is a different subject altogether.
Subject altogether. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Now, Binduji,
Right.
a second point arises out of it is that, when we say the Sarvam Khalvidam Brahman, and when we know that, so every object, everything which we see, perceive or feel tangible, including you and me, we are Brahman, isn't it? So we are interacting. So Brahman seeing Brahman, it is possible.
Brahman seeing Brahman is not possible.
Okay.
Because it has no boundaries.
All right.
You seeing me is because of our name and form.
Form, yeah, true.
Whereas can you see space and space? Now let me ask one. Yeah, that is the same thing.
But if we recognize each other, although we have name, form, body, and all the identification with us, can we recognize? It means we are part of Brahman. You are part of that Brahman. So when we are interacting, I know it's one thing interacting with one itself, oneself. But in the space of duality, is it becomes that I am seeing myself as a mirror in you?
It is not that way.
Okay.
Spice.
Okay. I need to understand that. Yeah.
A wave which you can see because you are external to the wave.
Okay.
Now, one wave can see another wave. Let us assume the wave has the capacity to see the other wave.
Yeah.
But when one wave sees the other wave, does it see as separate from itself or see as extension of itself?
Yes.
As water?
That's the point of my questioning as well, is that so if we remove all the external identifications, it means we are recognizing as self itself.
Yes, that's the self. But self as a self, I have no boundary.
Yeah.
Like true. As water, there is no wave in the water. The wave is an appearance in water, and that wave has, what is the reality of the wave? Water. When it realizes it is water, it doesn't have the wave independent out of the water. It realizes its own essence as water, which is seeing in all the waves that is there appearing. So, perfect. It is not seeing separatedness from me to another wave, or I don't see you as separate. I am seeing the oneness in everything. That is why the Chandogya Upanishad says the word anyat means the otherness. Yatrana anyat pashyati means where the otherness is not seen. The anyat shrunoti, the hearing of something other, is not able to be heard. Like that, when all the otherness, ananyatvam, that ananyatvam, when it happens, it is the time when you are abiding in the jnanavastha. Otherwise, it is a vyavahara, where the bodham is there. That is what every experience is in knowledge, consciousness. But the consciousness, without that, no experience independently can happen. So what is the reality of every experience? Consciousness. But for transaction purpose, there is experiences. Because we associate it with the contents in the experience. But the content cannot independently exist without experience. Can I have a experience and content separate at the same time? Not possible.
Not possible.
The moment the content is identified, it is with experience or the awareness which the content is identified. It's like that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
So
you,
it
Spice.
clears lot of doubts. But thank you.
Thank you, Spice. Namaste, Vinod.
Yeah, Bindu, you already answered that question. I wanted you to bring out that point about awareness, and you already brought it out. Thanks so much.
Okay. Thank you. Namaste, Brick.
Hey, namaste, Bindo and all.
Namaste.
Yeah, this was just a wonderful. It always is, Bindo, but today was extra special because it just seemed like the way that it was explained was flowing so well through me. But I'm trying to understand. Maybe you could shed some light on this. In this seeing of the other, of the others, of the many, of the multiplicity. Is this because the identity we've created is not separate from Brahman and is Brahman, and there never was any separation or will be separation? Is the separating aspect of through the ego and this whole experience, is this just like is it fair to say that it's an allowance of the Brahman for this to happen? That's the word that came to me earlier, but I don't know how to really see this.
You can call it as an allowance. We rather call it as it's a nature of awareness. In that, when you do not have the apprehension that everything is awareness, you start having separatedness or otherness because you first segregate yourself as separate. And the moment you separate out yourself as an individual, independent, ego-related person, all otherness or the multiplicity, the duality become reality from reference to your point of view. But the moment you realize that I am not the individuality, but I am that awareness. Without awareness, I myself do not exist. And I am the awareness and I see everything is in awareness. So everything can appear in awareness, but they are not separate from me. There the dissolving takes place. This is where the dissolving of the karma becomes yatmya, or the absolute oneness of Brahman is happening, or the consciousness becomes one and all. The names and appearances are only for transactional purpose, but reality-wise they are nothing but the same oneness.
So thank you, Bindo. So is separateness itself then a mere play of Leela?
Yes, absolutely. You can call it as a leela, or you can call it as ignorance. The word doesn't have any importance. It is only thing is that one simple way to say is that when we do not apprehend the reality, any word will appear to be a explanation. Whether you call it as ignorance or whether you call it as a leela, it is immaterial.
But in that way, even the ignorance is Leela, is God playing, right?
Yes,
Right?
yes, absolutely.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Greg.
Bindo.
You brought in beautiful aspects of it.
Bindoji, if you don't mind, I have one more question.
Go ahead.
Yes. Today we had a satsang in one another room. Okay. So I sensed without experience, reading these scriptures about Brahman, like Agam Brahmasmi, I am Brahmasmi, it is leading to a dangerous anarthas as well as unnecessary arguments. Like, for example, we were having a talk about Brahman and different paths, whether Leela, all those things. Break was there. One person came, he started abusing. I don't know who he was addressing. Simply, he was using all colloquial words and abusing everyone. Like, he started abusing. We don't know. I removed him. Okay. There was one person, he pinged me like, you removed Brahman. That is Brahman which is doing this. Like that, she argued. And I told her, in Maya, okay, everything is Brahman only. But in a colloquial way, I said, we need to have the discrimination. Whenever we are hungry, we need to eat food only, not other things. I used a colloquial well, I don't want to use here. I told everything is Brahman. You cannot go in front of an wild animal and expecting this Brahman will not get affected by that Brahman. Because it is theory, you are in Maya. So in Maya, you need to know the discrimination, what to eat, what not to eat, where to go, where not to go. So this is out of simply like I am Brahmasmi, Agam Brahmasmi, they are simply anarthas is happening. So how to handle this without experience? No, without experiencing that oneness, they are simply studying and it is becoming very dangerous.
No problem, Rajesh. I also do the same thing. There are people there. You can ask Prakash. There have been people who are coming and making,
No, we understand.
which are the thing. So what we have to do is, Krishna has said in the Bhagavad Gita, which you will listen to it later, Na buddhibedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam. That means, do not confuse people who cannot understand the reality. Let them be what they are. So don't confuse them with the truth, because they are not mentally capable of understanding the truth. Krishna has said that.
Okay. So if we can discuss about how to handle this, like with experience and in Maya, how to handle this discrimination, it would be after this Bhagavad Gita any time.
Yeah, see, this is exactly in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya. Shankaracharya says that a jnani will behave like an animal. When it is favorable situation is there, he may react favorably. When the situation is not favorable, he will also behave as an unfavorable way, which he will try to avoid the situation.
Yeah.
So that those behavioral things are what is appearing to the outside, whereas what is the reality is what is inside. The same knife is a metal. The knife, it can be used as a knife. It can be used for chopping vegetables, or it can be used for killing a person. The knife has no role to play in it. Or the same gold can become a sword or a necklace also. But nobody will keep a sword on the neck and say that I am wearing a necklace.
Correct. Okay. We understand out of ignorance they are doing, but in front of like some people are there like this. There was a
nothing should affect us.
No effect. I'm just telling. If we speak the truth directly, they cannot digest it. So we are putting all the masalas and giving them very decently. If we say Brahman is same, food and shit is same, why can't you eat shit? Okay, they won't like it. But we don't have any image. Let them think whatever they think.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajesh. Prakash?
Yes, thank you very much, Pindoji. Looks like I think we are to the end of the questions. There is one clarification from Mopon. She has requested that she shares some Instagram based on your talk, I think. I don't know if you noticed that now. I think she wants your consent. Can I share this?
Oh yes, you can go ahead
Yes.
and share. Absolutely no problem.
All right.
Uma, you
Thank you,
can share.
everyone. Yes. Thank you very much, Mandaji. So,
Sorry,
thank you,
Bindo. I meant that to be a heart, not a laugh.
everyone. Yes, thank you, everyone, for attending this very deep session on Brahmajnana. And as always, Bindoji's meticulous guidance is worth listening to again, not just listening, but through the Sravana Manana method that he has always suggested. So thank you everyone for attending the session. So we'll reconvene tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. IST, and Bindoji is going to continue to deepen this interpretation tomorrow. So I'm eagerly anticipating a deeper manana. And as always, thank you very much, Bindoji. Over to you. Just a reminder, the replays are available, in Clubhouse and the link shared in the chat, and you can access them, listen to the replay, and come with that added groundedness so that tomorrow is going to be a deeper manana. Over to you, Binduji, to close the room. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash, Rajesh, Spice, Vinod, and Breck. Thank you all for listening. We'll meet tomorrow for the further continuation on the same verse. As I said, I think it will be running till Friday, this one verse. But it is one verse which, if understood properly, you don't need anything more from in the form of Advaita to be heard. Thank you all. Hari Om. Good night.
Hari Om. Good night.